drifted alarmingly in the betting was, Felsted in the morning continued to drift. It was late on the exchanges to lose. It was something you'd see in a Dick Francis novel, Charles Burns.
The ground is soft. It's
heavy.
It's soft on times.
It's heavy.
Okay.
And a very warm welcome to the Barstewards Sunday sermon. Myself, John Lang, and Chris, we're ready to hammer and tongs to discuss Saturday's racing and other topics that we've got lined up for you this evening to make it one hell of a show. So, without further ado, good evening, chaps.
Good evening.
Yes. Enough of that. So we don't do pleasantries. I'm going to review Saturday's action first of all. It was an interesting day, to say the least. Obviously, we'll get onto the feature races in a bit, but we'll start off, John, at York, where it was, again, some interesting results. But the feature race there was the Sky Bet York Stakes, which was won by Sabuska. What did you make of that?
Only because I was with the favourite. He seemed to get beaten fair at the square. I was a little bit underwhelmed with Dubai Honour. I thought, I'll Sabuska off now, and then suddenly it turns into a hammer and tongs pitch battle. You always know which way it's going to go if you're on Steve Donoghue, don't you? So
well, the weird thing.
The ground too.
Probably. He's got an official rating of 120, which is officially £10 clear of Sabuska. There's no way he's even got close anywhere near his mark, I don't think. But I agree with John. It is a disappointment because I was talking with the producer just before the race, and I said the one horse I couldn't back in this, if you give me as many free bets as you want, is Sabuska.
You never going fast enough, could you, really?
Well, that was the thing. That, the lack of pace. I suppose then you analyse it and say, well, this horse is a miler and he has got some good late foot at a decent level. But even so, like, as an in-running punter, you're struggling to back it because it's held up last off a crawl. So I was surprised, very surprised, in fact, then to see him look the likely winner of Furlong Out and then obviously go and do the business stepping up to this trip, which I genuinely felt strongly run miles suited him down to the ground, and I thought the last thing he'd want would probably be a crawl over 10.
He's clearly just a vastly improved 6-year-old today.
It is when we're on second, John. It is when all big naps on second horse, and we're absolutely
It's lovely though. ITV Races said that it was a tremendous result, and Ed Chamberlain was eulogising about it. And I think I tweeted the effect: do these people not understand how punters react? It's never tremendous when a heavily backed Bav gets fucking nutted on the line by some lump of shit that's 6 years old. That's all.
Exactly.
Wants, he doesn't know, and he's going, it's wonderful, lovely, that is, that's tremendous, like pile driver winning, lovely. Is it fuck? No one's on it. It's madness. I don't know, I think it's crass anyway. Yes, I am talking through my
it alienates yet more viewers, doesn't it? People sat there gritting the teeth, tearing the tickets up. You've got Ed saying what a wonderful result. It's as though the entire sport's laughing at you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It does feel that way. And, people say, pocket talking. Well, yeah, I'm pocket talking. So that gives me a right to say something because I bought a ticket in the raffle.
Exactly.
So bollocks to all the people that criticise pocket talkers.
I mean, you say, like, what you say is absolutely bang on, that obviously most people back favourites. Whether Twitter wants to admit that, it doesn't have to admit it, but the fact is that they go off those sort of prices because most people are on them.
Yeah.
And it's market forces that make the pricing. So, like you said, well-backed favourites, strong on the exchanges. Yeah. It's been punted all morning, night before as well. And like you said, Chamberlain starts bouncing up and down like some baboon, thinking that this is what we all want to see.
No, it absolutely isn't. We wanted that to win, but couple of lengths. I get it ready. But then we have Stevie Donoghue bouncing up and down like he's on his old woman. It's ridiculous.
Which, before we do any more reviews, I thought I'd bring this topic in early. I saw a post today from one of the gambling arm groups, Gambling Insight. It was sort of kind of moaning at potentially betting or education of gambling And obviously there was like outrage from obviously these groups because it's like, oh, no, you don't. But this is what they don't understand, that it's actually a good thing. It surely is it not? Promoting, because if you teach kids probability and how it works and how, at a fairly young age, and you say this is how it works and do studies on it and show people how you get in a lot of trouble if you don't. If you educate people at the right sort of age, I'm not saying like primary kids, I'm saying maybe teenagers, to educate them on probability, etc. Is this not a good thing for life skills as well? Because I found as doing betting for a living that you take those skills into real life as well and make a complete fuck up of that as well.
It's risk management. I mean, it's understanding that the game is underpinned by numbers. There was a study years and years ago in America, and I can't find the citation, where some university professor or an academic or with a real understanding of probability and horse racing form took a group of degenerate gamblers, right? And he actually basically took the view that you can't stop these people having a bet, right? But what you can do is educate them so that they could either perhaps make a profit or at the very least arrest their decline by having fewer bad bets and betting more winners. And he did that for a period of a year, etc. And he managed to turn the group round almost exclusive. I don't know whether they stayed with it. But basically, his view was the way to manage problem gambling is to teach people to do it better. Because some people in their DNA have to have a bet. So you might as well make sure that they are skilled at their addiction. So at least they don't do their money in cold blood, or at least do it, more slowly. And that was apparently quite a successful study. But you can't say that now, because that's encouraging gambling, and gambling is a bad thing, as we all know.
But it's interesting what you say, that this is what kind of annoys me with some. I'm not saying all gambling harm groups, but some gambling harm groups seem to think that by absolution and prohibition, you can eradicate the problems. You can't, because like you just said, Chris, it's in your DNA, or some people's DNA, that they want to have a card school. They want to like at school, they want to throw coins to the wall, nearest to the wall, things like that. Everything is about, like, go to the snooker halls, play a frame of snooker for money. It's all about adding spice to the whatever sport you're playing or any activity you're doing. Even as kids, we used to play Monopoly for actual real money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the point is as well. Look at the war on drugs. How's that gone? They've spent trillions of dollars trying to, stem the supply, etc. But where you have demand for a product or a service, people will find a way of getting their hands on that. And the gambling harm groups, you're not going to do what they want, which is to eradicate gambling, because there is a legitimate desire amongst some sections of the community to have a bet or buy a lottery ticket or buy some shares, etc. But, the prohibitionists won't have it. And it hasn't worked for drugs. So why is it going to work for gambling or any other social harm?
Well, exactly the same argument for the drugs angle is that, like you said, drugs, Class A drugs, obviously are badly illegal. You get into a lot of trouble. But does it stop people? No.
Bollocks.
No. In fact, it's as right. I would say, analysing, like when I go out and I frequently get offered Class A substances, and that's what I'm saying. It's
a mainstream, like cocaine. It's not a party drug, as it was 80s and stockbrokers. It is a middle class. It's a working class. It's a upper class. It's everywhere. Despite trillions of dollars and billions of pounds being spent on educating people of the social harm and county lines, and it doesn't matter a shit. People will still do it. Now, that's not an argument, obviously, to legalise, but if you take that example for gambling, you're better off educating people, saying, look, these are examples of really stupid bets. Digital fruit machines, online casinos where the house percentage is fixed, and over a period of time you will do your bollocks. No doubt about it, the numbers are there because the house always wins. So if you educate people, saying, here's examples of very risky gambling, but here's examples of gambling that you do have a chance of beating if you follow these rules or this money management technique. And I think you would reduce a lot of the social harm by saying to people, if you have to have a bet, stay away from fruit machines, bet football, bet horses, bet sport, find something you know a little bit about. But as for saying to people, oh no, you mustn't do it because it's dreadful, it's just not going to work, is it?
No, and this is what gets me angry with ITV, of the dumbing down of the betting product, because all you're doing is you're pandering to an audience that it's no, people do need education on it, and that's
massively complicated. And
all you see now is bookmakers online when they do the blogs. Lots of bookmakers are doing blogs now, sort of on Twitter, because it's quite entertaining. People like to read it, and it's showing insight into their business. I find most of them quite fascinating.
Does Banks do one?
I think he just shouts and moans.
That's to be ghostwritten, wouldn't it?
Yeah, he was moaning after first Fab won at Ascot today. He was blasting Ascot. It was the best thing since sliced bread, Royal Ascot. He was saying, best course in the land. And then after the first Fab won today, he's saying, attendance is down, it's a shithole.
Yeah. But that's a serious point, though, isn't it? By making it seem simple, you pander to the idea that it is inherently a game of chance. You got no hope of making money, etc. Whereas, to make money, it is an intensely time. Better than anyone, John and Lee. It's complicated. It will take hours of your life, and I dare say, had you applied your brain power to a different industry where you to start again, I dare say you could have made more money.
Definitely.
But you chose to do that because you enjoy the intellectual rigor of it. But it's not an easy thing. But by saying it's, you're going to lose anyway, so just have a throwaway bet, that encourages irresponsible gambling. Placing a bet's easy, but making it pay is probably the hardest game in the world. It really is. But no one says that, because it's the idea as well, you can't make it pay, you're going to lose, so just have any old bet.
Yeah, that's why I'm in favour of a lot more education. Because, as I say, I do believe that if you can apply gambling logic and do it okay, you'll do well in life, because all your life decisions tend to be based around, weighing things up and trying to weigh probability up. And if you teach people about probability and losing runs and how possible to do astronomical sums of money, even money, there's people that's looked at like long, number of spins on a roulette wheel, red or blacks, etc. And 10,000 spins on a roulette wheel, you can expect, around 30 losers on the bounce. So that shows you what kind of trouble you can get into. An education like this would be fantastic, because you're actually promoting responsible gambling by saying things like this. You see, bookmakers, they complain because of these pop concerts that they're tagging onto the race course, on the end of racing. There's people coming up for a bet. They don't know what each way is. They don't know anything. It's like they're asking, well, what shall I back? But that's because there is no education on it, because racing is bad. Racing's bad. Gambling's bad. And that's what the wider mainstream tout that. Everyone seems to, the BHA don't defend it, don't defend the product. It's just remarkable times. So ITV, get a grip and start educating people on betting and how it works. Get some proper experts in, not idiots, and do it right. And
they have that used to have that homeschooling feature, isn't it? Where they sort of try and give people insight into how horses are trained, tacked up. Why can't they do that for betting? Why can't they have a simple sort of 1 minute segment saying this is an each way bet, or this is how odds are expressed in a non-decimal format? 6 to 4 means you put your £4 on, you win 6 and you get your £4 back. Nice and simple, so that if you want to bring these people into the sport, teach them the basics, not how you're going to tack up a fucking horse. Who gives a shit? Unless you're involved in it. I don't give a fuck how the saddle, what it's made of, or would not give a shit.
That's it. And I think they'd enjoy it better, because a lot of people can't enjoy something if they don't understand it. It's a bit like watching a sport and saying, well, I don't get what's happening here.
Yes.
No education.
No, none at all. The actual, unless you're trying to bring people into the sport, i.e. training horses, riding them, or livery or whatever, most people watch it for the thing that's actually on the field and having a bet. So why do they care, how you school a horse? Couldn't give them money. That does not help you understand in sufficient depth, the factors that will influence you having a bet. That's just of no interest to anyone. But again, that they are trying to address everything except gambling. It's the elephant in the room, isn't it?
It is, I'm afraid. It's wrong, but we try and change it as a podcast. That's what we try and do. Try and change people's views and opinions and get mainstream media on side, well, the racing mainstream media.
Because we're trying to change the world, aren't we?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're different class, achieving nothing.
Yeah.
I think Kevin Duffy said to us on Twitter this week that you're losing your dignity or something for calling Donica the fetus. My reply was, we've never had any dignity.
No, old men shouting at clouds, that's all this is.
Yes. He's listening to the wrong podcast if he thinks that, we've got any dignity. Anyway.
I don't think he was thrilled when I told him if there's any more kids pop up, the next one was the spunk bubble, didn't it?
Roe versus Wade.
The next O'Brien trainer to pop up, if we're still doing this in like 15 years' time, will be the spunk bubble.
Yeah.
Anyway, sign of things to come there on future Barstewards episodes. Right, back to the review. We'll actually discuss some horses now. Princess Margaret, John, went as expected for Lazoo, did it right. She's established herself what she is really. I don't think it was probably a vintage Princess Margaret, but she looks about 100, 105. Is that fair, John?
Yeah, I think so. I was a little bit sorry for that Hannon horse, because I think if there had been slightly less water going on, I think that could have acquitted quite well.
Minnetonka, yeah.
I don't think it quit him badly anyway, but I did think it showed like a quality animal. If we ever get any proper good to firm ground in this country again, I'd be quite interested in having a little jag at that one in the right kind of race.
Yeah, I'd love to see him. I know, like, this is but all weather. I genuinely think, I do think it'd improve for an artificial surface, if I'm honest. That's where I see it. It was right to come to Ascot, I think. I thought it was always due to run better, but like you said, John, they probably put a bit too much on for Minnetonka. But she's probably one to watch out for.
Could be a big place in a Lowther, if they were inclined to go there. You could get it quick there.
You can. I mean, we'll come on to Clarkin in a bit this week because I've done a bit of Clerk watching this week, so I'll bring that up in a bit. And we'll talk about York in comparison to the likes of Newbury and Newmarket and Sandown as well. Cooper went off the rails early in the week. Didn't reply to that tweet that I sent, but we'll come on to that in a bit with the July course as well on Friday, I think, overwatered. But we'll go on to the Valiant Stakes. Jumbly winning 105. I think that's about 105 form. I think my bet, the German horse November needs it softer, but I don't think
so much use of her, surely.
Yeah, I don't like the way they ride her, do you?
No, I mean, that was awful today, I thought.
Yeah, sort of missed break, and he couldn't wait to rush her up, and it was that was it really. I even knew turning in that she was cooked, but
it was depressing, wasn't it?
Yeah, she had the class to stick on for third, but when you consider that probably Zambak ran no sort of race and Serenading was just behind her in fourth, and that's rated 87. I don't think it's really particularly solid form. That again, Jumbly, the winner's rated 105. Probably says if you're stretching it, probably ran to 105. Might be a bit less. I don't think it was a good race or form to follow.
You're building a skill there, aren't you? If you give Jumbly its rate.
Yeah. Then we come on to the international. We did give a positive. Well, I did. I mentioned Fresh a bit last on the pod, and they backed it into favourite in the Wokingham. Obviously, a bad draw. Fresh doing it today. Surprisingly, John, and this is where we got it wrong. I think we felt unanimously that the stand side would be the place to be, and it wasn't.
I thought that the stand side jockeys got the fractions wrong myself.
What, you went too hard?
I got the impression that they weren't fast enough early on.
Right, all right, okay.
But I felt from about the 3.5 pole, they were probably trying to play a bit of catch-up, and then they maybe did empty out of it.
And the one we mentioned, King's Ain, the big late gamble in the end, it looked like Kilt were back training it.
Yeah.
He might have had some influence on Roger.
Some money for that, wasn't there?
It was very strong on the machine. 7.8 on the off, on the machine. 6-1 from sort of 20s.
And Megan Nichols gave it a massive in the paddock on size form.
Size form didn't work well at York, did it?
We were big in size form up on Friday night, weren't we? Well,
Yeah.
Megan gave it a massive on ITV racing, and it was nice to see Megan doing a bit instead of Adele, really.
Yeah, I was just surprised, really, the stand side being so far behind the centre. But Davis was moaning. He said he won his race with Aratus on that side, but the middle beat him. But he always...
he's tipping at the next Ascot meeting, then, don't we?
Yeah. Just back Aratus. You know Davis. He's make him sick. Punt it in
before he does the shops.
Because he will. He'll do the shots before the show's recorded.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Lindley carriage out at 3:30 in the afternoon.
Minibus full of ICF, John.
Yeah.
For free outside in the old invalid carriages, couldn't you? So, no problem.
Yeah. Oh, the turquoise three-wheelers.
Thunder's car, yeah. That was used to see loads of them, didn't you?
You don't need one. It's just so you can park it anywhere without a badge.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that's not right. I mean, in terms of like diversity and correct speech and and all this lot, right? That we've developed, and it's annoying, obviously, for some of us old farts to try and get used to what you can and can't say. But the one thing that it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, it could never happen now. You sort of stigmatising disabled people by giving them a turquoise chariot.
Yeah. It was hideous.
You might as well put on the side, sponsored by I'm a Raspberry Ripple.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. That's exactly right. I mean, there's no doubt as to who the occupant of those particular vehicles were. I mean, it was, instant sorts of children bellowing heartless witticisms.
Yeah, they ran past you when you get down.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, we have come a long way. We should point out to the worker arty brigade that exists now. We should point out to them that we've got rid of the turquoise chariots.
And if the kids were taking the piss out of you, you couldn't even get away from them because you couldn't outrun the fucking kids.
That's right, yeah. DC engine, wasn't it? It used to run on fucking creosote or whatever.
Yeah, 25 mile an hour top speed.
Yeah.
Anyway, great times. Right, we've gone to the feature race. The King George, £708,000 to the winner. What a journey Connections of Piledriver have been on. The horse successful today, taking his career earnings to somewhere in the region just shy of £2 million. Some journey this, John, for a horse that cost 10,000 guineas at the sales.
Well, it's kind of put Willie Muir in banging the mix with a trainer's title, hasn't it? It's something akin to Mondomedge winning the Breeders' Cup Sprint.
Don't tell Anthony; he'll think about entering.
Well, there's no racing in this country where there's anything total for 2 weeks. So there's only one place Mondomedge is going in November. Don't worry about that. He'll be there. So,
right, let's review the race. Obviously, look, I've seen a lot of reaction I like looking on Twitter for reactions, and people often do knee-jerk stuff, and I love some of the stuff. People saying, "Oh, the 3-year-olds are dead. The 3-year-olds are rubbish." This and that. It's not as bad as that, because basically both 3-year-olds ran to zero today. Would you agree, John?
Well, yeah. I mean, Emily Upjohn had no chance with the way she refused to settle, and I mean no chance. Yeah. Westover, I think I mentioned I had my doubts about him anyway.
You did. I think that's a good shout, because did you see him boil over before?
Yeah, his temperament's sort of cockeyed, so he'd be, if he hadn't won Irish Derby, probably a good candidate for getting them off. He's more supreme novices than Ledger at the minute, isn't he?
I think you did make a good point about that he'd been away at Kempton and stuff, and like, why would you do that?
It's the worst thing in the world, really, that you want to hear. If anybody who's played one like that anti-post, and you hear that they're taking a horse that's at its absolute maximum physically, there's no way that needed a freshener. It was an absolute case of trying to get it going for me, it's clearly gone Larry at home.
And this comes to my other point then, right? Like I say, you deserve a lot of credit for this because it will have raised eyebrows, I think, if anyone listened to that. And it did me. You made me think.
Take that as a positive, Beckett saying, we've had an away day, and he's had a racecourse gallop, It set massive eyebrows going for me. I had how the rode the house at the current.
Yeah, and how it looked, obviously, before the start as well. That was in my pre-race. It didn't do me any good because I just had more on Emily Upjohn. But it made me think long and hard about it. I'm thinking, John might be right here because this for me had just boiled over. And I know Ryan Moore didn't help him in the race on Broome. They certainly quickened it up far too far out.
Ryan absolutely took his brains out in that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Ryan's prone to that. Ryan's a brilliant jockey, but there are some times when Ryan...
He shouldn't be allowed anywhere near the front end in a decent race.
No. He just seems to just make some really catastrophic decisions at times as Ryan, and that was one of them, which obviously didn't help Westover. But even so...
You're not better letting somebody else pick the pace.
I'm pretty certain had Ryan not done that anyway, Westover would have still been well beat. He wasn't in the same place as he was at the Curragh or prior to that this season. Another thing I want to ask you about Westover is, I'm not nowhere near as good as you in terms of paddock assessments, but I genuinely felt he'd not got a lot of condition on him at Westover. I like to see them, if I watch a lot of Sir Michael Stout's horses, for example, there's a lot more condition on them than what I saw on Westover today. I thought he was particularly a bit light. I might be talking absolute rubbish, but that's what I saw on the cameras. I don't know what you thought.
I did get the impression they've got a bit busy with him.
Yeah, hence the away day at Kempton.
Yeah, and I think they've tried a few things, and it hasn't worked, has it? The house is just falling apart in front of us at the minute.
Yeah, like Rafe and Ralph will be having a domestic tonight, won't they? Arguing about what they should have done and what they shouldn't have done.
Big job to bring this back.
Yeah.
Like 2 months, say 6 weeks ago, I looked at one of the best derbies we've had in years. We're now strapping around trying to maintain the race's reputation again because you've got not the runner-up, but like the subsequent Irish Derby winner falling apart. You've got the actual winner probably not going to run again this season because on our sources, the foot problem apparently has resulted in a bit of a knock-on problem. The foot problem wasn't discovered apparently as quickly as it might have been, and then the horse has been saving itself, and then there's a bit of a complication that's been led to that. Very unlikely he'll run again this season, I'm told. Interesting.
Barstewards exclusive. Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's always information, and sometimes it doesn't pan out as that happens because horses, like humans, sometimes they recover quicker, sometimes they don't. But that is a Barstewards exclusive from John, and I know John obviously has got good sources there, so I'd certainly believe that more than I wouldn't believe it. So good stuff, John, on that. So Desert Crown, possibly not going to race again this season. Interesting stuff. Well, we've come to the winner, Pile Driver. If we rate the race, John, it's simple for me. I give Pile Driver 120.
That's exactly what I gave him. I didn't give him any more.
You can't, because that the second probably obviously hasn't got his optimum conditions. The third horse, Mishriff, missed it a long way. And by the way, coming to Mishriff, it must be a massive concern for Towser and Slim that Mishriff appears to have developed a habit now of not wanting to come out of the traps.
They'll probably announce tomorrow that they're having a sabbatical with Mishriff and sending him to Ben Haslam.
It is a worry for him because the thing is now he seems to be getting slower and slower away and that to me says.
Well, one thing's for sure, they certainly won't be blaming themselves, will they?
Oh no. Not at all. Not at all. So 120 pile driver, and that's about it, really. I don't think anything else has run its race. So the Arc winner, obviously, were better in the autumn if the mud's flying. Broom and paid the price.
It was a bit like a shitter version of Harbinger's King George, wasn't it?
Yeah, for the story, I'm pleased for the owners. I mean, PJ McDonald, 15 years ago, won the Scottish National. Now he's winning the King George. You know, amazing. Our careers can sort of transpire, but yeah, it's left me flat because nothing ran its race. Westover didn't, Emily Upjohn didn't, Broom certainly didn't, Mishriff certainly didn't, which left pile driver beating a possible mudlark.
The two big races have actually thrown up two shonking results, haven't they?
No, Ed Chamberlain were back like Chris says. Ed Chamberlain were bouncing around like a baboon, saying pile driver and Sabuska were punters champions.
Fuck Ed Chamberlain in the air.
The People's Hall.
The People's Horse, apparently. Got off 20.
Walked down the street, and said, "Have you heard of pile driver?" I think you're fucking drunks, wouldn't you? The People's Hall.
It's gone off a pony on the machine and 18s. People's Horses. Sabuska about 9s on the machine.
Yeah.
People's Horses.
The People's Champion. We got from the Alex Higgins of the equine world.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Housewife choice, yeah.
Okie doke, so that more or less summed up Saturday's action. So just coming on to Clerk Watch this week, they appear to have gone a little bit naughty again. See, this is where I would probably love Andrew Cooper on the show if he's willing to do it. I'm not sure he is, but this is where I'd really like him on the show because he produced fantastic ground for the Eclipse meeting. It was 7.7. That was the fastest ground he produced in about two or three seasons. So what did he do? Under big heat wave we've recently had, he managed to produce 7.3 on the round, 6.8 on the sprint course with no showers, nothing, no rain, to obviously make that decision sort of like it's one of them things like sometimes these media hacks will say on racing TV and at the races, well, what can they do? They're in a rock and a hard place. What can they do if it rains? What it's got to be safe. But no. This was, again, Cooper back to his best, where he's gone 7.3, which is 0.4 slower than the Eclipse meeting. And, of course, the times reflected that. The times probably reflected good ground. And they changed the ground to good to firm in places, which is a disappointment. And following up from Sandown, we had the other one that's one of the biggest culprits in the game, Michael Prosser. Again, a bit of a media darling, comes on TV, very eloquent, talks a good game, talks about the shades of the grass and how the grass grows and this and that. Talks a fantastic game, but shoves absolutely bucketfuls on. And the Friday night ground was a disgrace. I had one professional punter judge who I follow. I'm not going to name him because he might not want to be named. And he's brilliant with times on the ground. And he claims it was on the easy side of good. He said it was about the easy side of good Friday night. That is a disgrace, is it not, chaps?
Well, it is. I mean,
yes.
But good luck getting anybody to do anything about it.
Right.
I mean, these are serious issues because it's not just frustrating punters. I mean, we come from the punter argument essentially because that's what we do, and we see the punter side of it. But as I can imagine, as owners, trainers, you've got, like you said, John Minnetonka. You said, yeah, you agree with fast.
You just despair, wouldn't you, if you're on the arse like that now? I mean, what do? You can set a horse up for any target you wanted, and the clerk will just take it out of your hands completely.
Yeah. If it were me, and I owned a decent horse with a straight-legged action, and I knew I'd no chance of, say, making the very top, I'd run it on the all-weather. Right, I'd get, I'd make sure it'd run to its top, and I'd just sell to Hong Kong.
Yeah,
and that'd be it. I couldn't be arsed. I can't be arsed turning up at Newmarket when they say it's going to be quick ground, and then you're getting 4 seconds slow for 6 furlongs on after we've had 37 degrees, 38 degrees. It's just absolutely ridiculous, and there's no allowance for horses that do prefer a fast. It's all this safe baloney. What's this safe nonsense? Like you said, John, there's no evidence whatsoever to say that water ground is safer than faster ground, although we do know if you're a fragile horse or you've potentially got issues, then you don't run on fast ground anyway. You can't, if you've got a fragile horse, you don't run on good to firm in June and July. You put the horse away and you run in the autumn or you run in the all weather. That's what you do. If your horse is rock hard and sound, then you run on anything. You run on good to firm, fine. So this is what's annoying me. All this safety nonsense. And then we'll get small fields on fast ground. I mean, we get small fields anyway. If it's good to soft, the watering now is still 6 runners, 5 runners. It won't make any difference. You'll just simply get a different set of horses running if you had firm ground. You just have. It's a bit like summer jumps horses. You'll get a certain type of horse that'll run on fast ground all summer, and then and that's how it should work. Let the natural elements sort it out. It's ridiculous how we've got into this state. Michael Prosser, Andrew Cooper, I've defended you for your ground on the Eclipse, but that was a disgrace what you did this week. 7.3 after a big heat wave. That should have been the Eclipse same, 7.7. You've overdone it with the Sherry. You didn't reply to my tweet because you've overdone it with the Sherry. Anyway, that's my rant on sort of Clarks. Sorry about that, gentlemen. Just thought I'd get that off my chest. Right, just one more thing. We've got a big week ahead. Obviously, Goodwood, doing a Goodwood preview show tomorrow night, Monday. So don't forget to join us for that. We've got Catherine Fry out of the cellar, which is good. We've got Richmond, Franks, and me and John going through the best bets at Goodwood. So I thought I'd get that promo in. And just to finish, Fergal O'Brien is a trainer, chaps. I like Fergal O'Brien. I like the Twitter account. It's funny. It's brilliant. Didn't get his comments this week, though. Fergal O'Brien backs Irish trainers call to be allowed to run in low-grade national hunt races in the UK. Why?
Well, you probably know the majority of them won't be off.
Well, this is the remarkable thing, that the Irish trainers are moaning. Why are they moaning? Why would you want to send a horse on a ferry for shit prize money, shitter than what they get over there, right? For a 0 to 105 hurdle at your Toxteth? Why?
Get on. That's why you got more chance of getting on in England than you have in Ireland. So I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone knows that the online bookmaker limits, or even the shop bookmaker limits, if you go in and try and back a horse to win a handicap hurdle at Tipperary, at 7:30 in the evening, it's 14s. You'd be lucky if you get a £5 each way on in the shop.
Yeah.
They don't want to know. The online limit's the same. I can remember when I did have my old Bet365 account many years ago, my limits were something like £1,000. You could back to win £1,000 up to 11 o'clock.
Yeah. And
if it was an Irish race, you could back to win £500. Yeah. So it didn't matter what Irish race it was either. It could be the Lexus. It's still £500. So it's obvious why. We know why. I mean, Ronan McNally has done it. He's sent them over here and just landed big touches. Gordon Elliott's done it. Gordon Elliott's also sent horses over here that have drifted from 8 to 11 out of 7 or 4 and ran like it. They know there's more liquidity on the exchanges, on British races. They know that they can get more money on. That's why they're moaning. So for Fergal O'Brien, who wants winners, who basically wants lots and lots of winners, why does he want to run into a Ronan McNally horse with £30 in hand?
Goodness, no. To be honest with you, very odd. Right.
I thought it was odd. I thought, why are you backing this? It's like saying I want less winners as a trainer.
Yeah,
because that's what will happen. You will have less winners as a trainer if they're coming over. He says, it's to make it more competitive. We're moaning about field sizes, this, that, and the other. Well, let's have another 2 runners. One's Ronan McNally and one's Fat Gordon. It's like with 2 unexposed Irish handicap hurdlers. Tremendous, Fergal. You've got the third fab.
Yeah. Bizarre, isn't it? It's a very odd comment to make. Very, very odd as well, particularly as his partner is Graham McPherson, QC, who specialises in, integrity issues with the BHA. So I think it's a very, I don't think it's a naive comment, but I can't work out what the agenda is behind that, because he surely must know. He'll definitely know that that's the risk, but not sure why he's saying that.
No, it's the one thing the BHA have actually for once they've actually done right. Obviously the COVID rule of like, oh no, you can't travel for cheap crap races. No, it's the one thing they've actually said no, we're not reinstating it. Fantastic BHA, because that's exactly what the Irish want. They want to come over here and plunder our terribly weak 2% trainer, like handicap hurdles in the summer where there's 7 runners, one's trained by, I'm not going to mention them because they'll be moaning, be like Kublers, be writing in, moaning, saying I'm destroying their business.
Shout out to Daniel and Claire while we're on.
Yeah.
Daniel and Claire, though, they've proved they've trained Outgate this season. Outgate's done well for them. They've received mega offers from King Kong for Outgate. Daft not to sell, though, complete idiots. Because I mean, look at it. Have you seen when it's won? It's had like easy leads at Chester and stuff like that. It's the most flattered horse in training to be rated that. They think it's even better, you know. No, I've said it on the pod. Outgate, no good. Daniel and Claire Kubler. You should have sold to King Kong for mega bucks. Yeah. Take the money, Claire. Do a service to your owners and take the money. Right, that's just about it, folks. I hope you've enjoyed the show. We are back.
Jimmy Lindley.
Oh, yes, John, sorry. Yeah, absolutely. What terrible from me, not mentioning the bastion of the show. Yeah. John, what have you got for me?
I've got one from Saturday afternoon, believe it or not.
Right.
And it is a horse called Uberima Fides.
What? You picked some real bad names.
Who ran in a 7-furlong handicap at Gowran Park this afternoon. It was absolutely hilarious, this. It had 3 runs for Clive Cox prior to transferring to Richard O'Brien in Ireland. It remains owned by Simon Munier, which itself is a fascinating bit of hocus-pocusery, shall we say.
I've got it now. 3:30 Gowran Park. 3:30 Gowran Park, yeah.
Yeah, now we've had the obligatory 3 spins up with Clive Cox, and he's landed the horse with a mark of 64. Now, we obviously think that we can get a little bit more off, because if you watch the 3:30 at Gowran Park today, comedy wasn't in it, really. There was a little bit of a 5-knuckle shuffle when the stalls opened from Nathan Cross. He then sits a detached last until they go into the bend. Those familiar with Gowran Park will know it leads into about a 2-furlong straight, and it's quite an angular bend. Mr. Cross then proceeded to aim for the stands rail from the apex of the bend, from his position in last, which he didn't improve a great deal up the straight, as you can imagine. But he did manage to improve it 4 places. So minimal hand flapping and chicken wings.
Interesting.
This is a hugely interesting horse for me, because I don't even know why they've got it, let alone why they've transferred it to Richard O'Brien. This is plottery at its very best, I think.
Well, you said that, right? You know, what I find very interesting is that is the money is, you know, sending more horses over to Ireland. I honestly think they're searching out the carrots. I often say, like Nick Bradley Racing does it. He tends to align himself with carrot trainers, and Richard John O'Brien obviously is a carrot trainer in Ireland. So basically, that's what I think they do. I don't know what, like I said, I don't know why they're doing it. It's not like they need the cash, but
no, I mean this is massively strange to me. This, because I mean. You wouldn't have said it's got the potential to run to 100 or anything like that, you know. But you would say it definitely has the potential to land a bit of a touch somewhere soon, sometime, somehow.
No, keep an eye on the Muniers. There's been a few little like little gambles like on their horses over and on. Not saying they've been successful either, but it's just interesting with the trainers they're employing. You know, you associate the Muniers with sort of classy horses, national horses, Nicky Henderson, Alan Kate, you know, like some good horses over the years. All of a sudden branching out to Ireland, it's kind of interesting, John. It's a really interesting spot, because it's interesting that you've spotted a Munier horse in Ireland, that they are branching out. Yeah. So one to watch there, folks, for the Jimmy Lindley. So I'm going to end the show on that. So thank you, John, for that. And for the exclusive on Desert Crown. Thanks to you, Chris. Some great input into the show, and I've really enjoyed it. We're back on Monday for the Goodwood Galway preview, as I say, with Fry, Franks, and Richmond, and then as normal Friday show, Sunday show next week. So there'll be no daily shows at Goodwood after shows, because Goodwood's not really a festival, is it, John, with all the maidens?
Goodwood would only be a festival if they cut it down to 2 days. And,
It's like Doncaster.
6 races per year.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, that's all from me, John and Chris. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye for now.